Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. The season has not yet even started, but the drama with Scrappy is only just beginning. Last night, the first Challenger Cup concludes. Joe Deceives ends up winning it with the LA Academy and has a few spicy words to say for Scrappy based on what he was saying in the chat, and even Scrappy coming at Clayster a little bit based on some pro player classes. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thanks very much indeed for doing that one. Plenty to discuss. Let's dive straight into the Challengers Cups then. So first of all, the European GA update. Pretty interesting. Nothing over the past 24 hours has been added new to the GA list. Can you believe it? The pros, basically they took a day off on Saturday, so that's probably why nothing changed on that front. But the Europeans, the amateur side, have actually decided to allow the snipers again. They got rid of snipers entirely, and usually when the European amateur community GA something, the pros follow suit relatively shortly after. We have already seen that this season with a fair few different things. But in this case, they seem to realize that the sniper is not too strong without the attachments. The pros said, you know what, instead of getting rid of snipers, let's get rid of the attachments. And from what we've seen, really, the sniper is viable, it's good, as we've seen in the previous couple of games, but with no attachments allowed, it's probably balanced enough, especially you only see one per team, and it's probably not viable on every map as well. So a good sign, really, because usually when the European amateur community GA something, the pros follow suit sooner rather than later, and now it's kind of gone the other way around. So maybe some optimism there that we will at least get snipers in Search and Destroy this season. We're going to need something to spice up Search and Destroy this year, because watching it can be pretty painful with the dead silent situation at times. Let's dive into the European Challenger Cup then. First of all, Dave is back. Not really sure if you guys are, well, familiar with what he did last season. I know he went to Halo, I think, briefly, or maybe tried to do that. That didn't really work out, as a lot of players have found. Has come back to COD now, dropped 41 in this map last night up against the Spanish guys. And then this was the grand finals match here, so I guess they were doing best of sevens, or I'm not exactly sure what the bracket is. The format was kind of strange, but yeah, it was really interesting to see that these guys, well, this is round 11, I believe, that went all the way down to the distance, and Furious and Co, that was Maple's team, Maple, Goth, Eric, Boom, actually won this tourney. Surprising in a way, because the other day in the Breaking Point next tourney, they weren't looking so hot. The Elevate team won it, right, with Harry, Denza, who's Sleeb, Gizmo, and Vortex, right, those guys that obviously had their fair share of chances on London last season, and then Siggy, Maple, Weeman, Furious, and Eric, Boom, one of the Spanish players, they win this tournament. Impressive stuff. Congratulations to those guys. And yeah, Weeman as well, of course, joining along for the ride also. So congratulations. They turned it around quickly within the last week or so. Let's talk about the North American one. So the Los Angeles Guerrilla Academy, they came in here winning the Breaking Point Next tourney just last weekend. They were coming in here as favourites. Joe Deceives, Exceed, Diamond Con, and Assault. They lost this particular map, but they recovered and won the series regardless. And this was a crazy situation, right? This Wardy 1v4 Game 5 Round 11. Now, the funny thing is about this to me is that Parasite coaches this team with 2Real and Co. This is 2Real, Mock, Hollow, and iLLeY. And they played up against Noisy, Cheen, Wardy, and Morks. And this is a Game 5 Round 11 1 versus 4. Like, how do you possibly throw this away? It's actually kind of incredible. But look, this Wardy guy, man, you've got to give him credit, because this guy is probably the player that London should have signed. We talked about it yesterday, right? The London maybe not looking so good, because Dashy said that there's one team right now in this game that's absolutely terrible. It is a free win every time. And people have said more than likely it's London. Not exactly guaranteed, but that's what people are suggesting right now. Wardy either should have gone to London, you know, British amateur player, probably the top prospect of the scene last season outside of maybe Beans. Those two are in a similar category, to be honest, in terms of AR, SMG combination. And yeah, Wardy clutches the 1v4 round 11. Definitely a big fumble, I think, from London not to get him. We don't really know what the circumstances are there behind the scenes, but he is a substitute right now for the New York Subliners. In a similar way to that, the fact that I'd expect Beans to get a shot at some point on Boston, I'd be surprised if Wardy has to spend an entire season on the bench. Yes, Sib, for example, in Cold War, spent an entire season on the bench for the FaZe team because they were FaZe. But if New York Subliners aren't FaZe this season, then probably Wardy gets a chance. But if he does get a chance, where does he get the chance? Because there's Hydra there, who obviously you're going to build around, and the Hydra Kismet duo has been looking pretty good since they joined up. So could Wardy replace Kismet? I don't know. Usually he's an SMG here. He's got an AR in his hand, so maybe he just runs absolutely anything and can still make it work. And poor Parasite, as he says, damn, tough seeds for the boys. Lost 6-5 last map to get knocked out. Placed top 6. Lots of work to do, but they were so close to doing better than that before they got 1v4'd. Game 5 at round 11. That is pretty tough scenes. Now, Chino, Wardy's team and Co, they end up coming third. And yeah, feels good playing an important tournament against a good as Chino getting some good success. And these tournaments are very important, right? Because in a month or so's time, we are going to be in Raleigh for the Major 1 event of the CDL. Going to be a massive event. There's the Call of Duty Mobile World Championships going on. There's all sorts of other stuff happening there as well. But also, the event itself is a pro-am, right? There's 16 teams. 12 pro teams plus 4 amateur teams, just like the Prem event of last season, but a better format overall, double elimination, all this type of good stuff. So the top 4 amateur teams in the world get to seed in, and that will be determined based on tournaments like this. I believe there's a tournament coming up in a couple of weeks' time that will actually determine the teams that get to go, but the seeding for those tournaments are determined by these tournaments, right? And a good seeding definitely gives you a massive advantage. Arguably why Doug Martin was so frustrated with the fact that Beans didn't get his pro points, that drama we looked at yesterday. Now, there was some crazy stuff going on here because these guys, the LAG Academy, barely won a hard point, if at all, this entire tournament. They nearly won it here in the grand finals up against the Rokkr Academy. So pretty interesting stuff. Now, the teams aren't mandated to have Academy rosters. I think it would be nice if they were. But yeah, Rokkr have an Academy, LAG have an Academy, London might have an Academy, not sure if it's kind of branded as that yet. But look, with teams we've seen this over the last couple of years, it usually works out pretty well. Rokkr have done a good job in building that pipeline of talent, as have Toronto over the last couple of seasons. And well, they've got that now. Fame, Real, Panda, GodRX, definitely a good team. Panda was absolutely frying as well. And they won this 250 to 249 to force another Game 5 in this particular series. And in the end, they won the grand finals without even winning a hardpoint, because the format was kind of strange here, as you can see. So it was a hotel hardpoint, search and destroy, control hardpoint, and then the final 3 maps were search, control, search. So they won this series 4-3 by winning 2 controls and 2 searches. So kind of an interesting format, to be honest, to run 3 searches, 2 controls and 2 hardpoints. Guess it makes sense. And lots of people have been complaining about the control, the way it plays right now. I think that the Elite or the Rokkr Academy were not so happy about the way control plays, but still, AG Academy were doing very well in that particular mode. And this, of course, the team Assault, I mean, what a great player he's been. I mean, look, he's a world championship winning MVP from 2018. Crazy is down here in challenges. But the real drama comes around Thieves. This guy has been talked about the last several weeks. He was, well, up there at the top of the ranked ladder alongside Doug Martin towards the end of last season. But he was only 18 very recently, so last season he didn't even get to play a challenger tournament. He's played other tourneys and lands and potentially stuff like this, but he's not actually played any challengers official tournaments until this one, which he wins. Now, of course, there was a lot of talk about Thieves because he got picked up by the LAG guys as effectively their substitute, right? Now, they've got an academy team. They could choose any one of these guys to be their official sub. They've chosen Thieves. Understandable, probably, because they really need an SMG player in that team. They've got Arcitys and Spart on 3-year deals. If anything's going to change in their starting roster, it's going to be one of Huke and Neptune that probably is going to depart. That's why an SMG sub makes the most sense. Thieves is that guy. But that was getting a lot of criticism really from the community, right? Because Thieves coming in, no experience playing challenges. Yes, he's obviously got the talent, but he doesn't really have the results to back it up. Only just turned 18. The discussion was around the fact that, oh yeah, they're just looking for the next Simp and aBeZy. They don't just want a solid, good, solid player that can do a job for them. And they're not even willing to see what Thieves is going to do going forwards. They're just going to take a punt on him, even though he doesn't necessarily deserve the spot. That was the argument, and Thieves is now clapping back pretty hard against that argument. These were the winners around the world here from North America, Europe, APAC, and also Latin America. So yeah, congratulations to all the fellas right here on screen. But let's talk about the Scrappy thing, right? Because Scrappy has been aligned somewhat with ProLoot, let's say, because ProLoot was giving this take a couple of weeks ago, where, as you guys can see right here, so this is 11 days ago now, when the flank tournament was getting selected, and Thieves was, well, there was some comments on ProLoot on the Vegas Legion team, and he basically says that him being picked up was disrespectful to the challenger scene, disrespectful to other players that have grinded the last couple of years to try and get a spot in the Pro League, and then Thieves just walks right in despite having not really proven anything. So that was where this all came from. Other pros, well, not necessarily pros, but, other amateur players certainly agreed with this. Like, damn, I've been trying hard all this time. People like Mohawk, I'm sure, for example, have won the last 2 Challenger World Championships in a row. Thieves just comes out of nowhere and just gets himself a sub spot, no problems at all. Now, Scrappy was kind of aligned with this because he was going in the chat last night of Thieves saying, yeah, you're terrible, go back to ranked play, all this type of stuff, and was, looking for the smoke. That's what Scrappy does. Doesn't matter if it's pro seed, amateur seed, whatever, he's going to go in hard. Now, kind of backfires on him last night, in fairness, because in the end, Thieves wins the tourney and fires Mack. And even just to mention this, so, I mean, Scrappy says that movement's beaming, unlike you, says Clayster, joking around a little bit. Scrappy says, like, your whole team runs by class, stop it, right? So basically saying that he came up with some sort of M4 class or whatever, and now the entire Vegas Legion team uses it. So look, we're looking forward to Scrappy on stage next season for the Toronto team, up against Drazah of LA Thieves. It's always going to be a fun time, but it's not like Scrappy isn't afraid to get involved in some drama even before the season begins. So as Arcitys even said, Scrappy versus Thieves, I hope your boy makes it. Guy looks like me when I was 12 playing League play, right? So basically just roasting this guy for not even like how he's playing, but also how he's looking. I don't know, this type of stuff. Arcitys is like, look, I respect the energy at the end of the day. And even Panda says, can't believe Thieves he's a literal movie star because he was getting involved in this stuff. So I'll share the clip here from what Thieves has to say about Scrappy, basically saying that he's living rent-free in his head, and look, at the end of the day, he's the one that won the tourney.
Yo, Scrappy, I'm gonna be honest, I don't give a what you say, bro. I really don't care what you say, bro. You can talk all this you want. Talk all this and I literally do not give a I don't give a I just won. What you say means nothing to me, brother. It literally means nothing. I'm happy. I'm good, bro. Oh, I mean, you came in my chat. Like, you literally came in my chat. You were literally watching my stream and came in my chat and told me to go back to rank. Like, that's the funniest part about it, bro. You came in here. No one told you to come in here. You came in here to watch me play, bro. You're in the league and you're still worried about amateurs. Think about that, brother. Like, dude, it's literally rent-free in your head. Think about that.
So what do you guys think about all this stuff, right? Scrappy, the first drama of the season happening before the season has even begun. It's interesting for Thieves, though, as well, because, look, he proved a lot of doubters wrong here, I think. He came in, people were saying, yeah, this guy didn't deserve a spot because, like, he's never played a Challengers event before, plays one event, wins it with his team. Of course, he won the Breaking Point Next 20 last weekend as well. Yeah, his stats might not have been, he's not dropping a 1.4, but he's doing the job for the team and winning the event, which, of course, is what you want at the end of the day, especially because it's his first couple of Challengers events ever and beating a lot of guys that I'm sure would have told him, yeah, you didn't deserve the spot because you didn't really earn it. Well, now he's proved that LAG have probably made a reasonable decision here. So what's the future for Thieves if he continues to improve as you'd expect he would? He's one of those players that obviously has got the talent, but they're not necessarily like a CDL ready player. Like, I'm sure there's a lot to learn for him in terms of communication and teamwork and, you know, how to behave and how to work in a team environment, this type of stuff that, you know, players that are talented, but they need to learn and get developed over time to become like a CDL ready player. Maybe the best way to do that is just to chuck him in the starting team and hope it works out, and that might be necessary for LAG. Of course, we saw yesterday that Dashy was saying, well, one team is terrible. We don't think that's LAG, we think it's London. It might be LAG, though. They haven't looked so hot in scrims so far, and look, I think that LAG are a team that probably is going to underperform their organization's expectations. That might not be true at all, but look, they've got Arcitys and Spart they're building around for the long term. Huke and Neptune was a big question mark to many. Why did that SMG duo stick around? I thought it made more sense to probably keep one of those guys and then see what happens elsewhere, but they're keeping both of them, so does that mean that Thieves has a shot at some point? I don't know, but it will be spicy if Thieves gets a shot in the starting LAG roster and Scrappy's there and Prolute's there playing him. Like, you know, it's going to get even spicier than it already has. And just on this topic, I thought this was interesting, right? So as Brian Stats puts together average age for each CDL roster, the oldest is Legion at an average age of 24, dragged up partly by Clayster, right? And it's all pretty close right here, 23, 22, etc. Ultra has the youngest at 21.3 average age. Scrappy certainly brings that down a bit. LAG, already their starting team is, I mean, it's crazy that LAG have an average age of under 22 when they've got Huke and Arcitys there. Seem like massive veterans of the scene, which is true, but, you know, they've got a Neptune, relatively young player, as with Spart, of course. Surge also similar age, 21.8, despite the fact that they've got accuracy on that team, so pretty crazy stuff. But, yeah, LAG gets even younger if they bring Thieves in, I guess, because he only just turned 18. But these guys right now might be representing the future of some of the personalities in our league and also the future of the drama for the coming couple of seasons, because Scrappy is certainly getting involved in a fair bit. Need to make sure I find a good thumbnail photo as well, so we can get ready to step in whenever it is required. But very much into your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.